Welcome, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Code Enforcement Board regular meeting on Tuesday, March 12th, 2024 at 1:00 p.m. Ms. DeHart, can you please call the roll?
Member Perlman?
Present.
Oh, sorry. Member LaSorsa?
Here.
Member Murray?
Here.
Member Kaufman?
Here.
Vice Chairperson Perlow?
Yes.
Chairperson Schlam?
Yes.
Town Attorney Rubin?
Present.
Thank you.
All rise. Say the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
For those giving testimony related to the case that you're affiliated with, please stand and raise your right hand to be sworn in.
By the authority vested in me as a notary of the state of Florida, do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you. You may be seated.
Are there any corrections to the minutes of February 13th, 2024? Hearing none, may I have a motion to approve the minutes of February 13th, 24?
I move to approve the minutes.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We have no unfinished business, so we are on to new business. And our first case is CC 23-12-012. It's Seagate. The violation alleged is a association that failed to comply with the requirements of section 110.9, which is the recertification of buildings of the town's administrative amendments to the Florida Building Code by failing to submit the required milestone inspection report. Do the members have any ex parte communications to disclose? Anyone here from Seagate? No. At this time, I'd like to open a violation hearing. Turn this over to Mr. Zowski.
The town is pulling this case from the agenda.
You know, it would be better if you said that before I use all this energy.
Well, in that-
going through the whole case number, the whole.
In that
ordeal.
case, the next one's getting pulled as well.
Oh, the next one is being pulled also, so we won't have to do it
Okay,
again.
great. Try to conserve my vocals.
Okay, so we're onward to C.
Onwards to C. Stefan and Marla Garshik, and that is case 23-12-017. Let's see here. It's building permits required. Pergola was built. Is that what it's called? A pergola or pergola? Pergola? Okay. A pergola was built without an issued permit. Do the board members have any ex parte communications to disclose? Okay, in that case, turn it over to Mr. Zowski.
Okay, my name is Adam Osowski, Town of Highland Beach Code Compliance Officer, and I have been previously sworn in. This is case number CC 2023-12-017. The respondents are Marla and Steve Garchik. The property address is 2474 South Ocean Boulevard. Senior Building Inspector John Gallo inspected the property on December 27th, 2023. The violations that remain as cited on today's agenda are only 30-122A, pergola built without a permit. This is a building code violation only, per building code official Jeff Remus, as cited by the Town of Highland Beach Administrative Code, Chapter 1 for the 8th edition of the Florida Building Codes. More specifically, Section 105.2, work exempt from a permit. This pergola is a structure that was built without a permit. The notice of violation was served by certified mail that was sent on December 27th, 2023. The respondent was given 14 days to come into compliance. The notice of hearing was served by posting and certified mail sent on February 21st, 2024. Prior to today's hearing, I re-inspected the building records this morning on March 11th, 2024, and the violation continues to exist. I have submitted the following evidence, which includes proof of service, supporting documents, and photographs. The town recommends that the respondent be found in violation of the town code as alleged in the notice of violation and be fined $250 per day for each day the violation remains after the date set for compliance. The town is asking to assess prosecution costs in the amount of $250 payable by the date set for compliance.
Okay. So this is a house, right? Private.
It's a private house, single family house.
And what you're asking for them is to now get the permit that they should have gotten,
Correct,
so they can remedy this.
correct.
Any other questions for staff? Do we have a vendor here or a Mr. or Mrs. Garshik? Or one of their representatives?
Good afternoon. My name is Michael Marshall. I'm with the Nelson Mullins Law Firm. I'm here on behalf of the homeowner and I'm accompanied by the general contractor that was the contractor of record on the permit. There was a permit application that was filed. So I very much appreciate you pointing out that you need a permit, and we 100% know that. This is it's a rather unfortunate circumstance, and I understand that we're here on the fact that a permit was not issued for this structure and the structure was erected. There's no dispute there. And so we understand that's happened, but I do want to explain to you what has occurred because what we're requesting from you is just some more time to try to cure this situation, because we currently have an appeal of staff interpretation that was just filed today. You see, I wasn't involved when this first happened. I got a call when the notice was issued, which was in December, right around the new year. And the issue was that this structure does not, the reason why a permit wasn't issued is because there was an outstanding comment from the planning department regarding the setback for this structure. Now, that the application refers to it as a pergola, it's referred to as a pergola in this. It is really not a pergola. A pergola doesn't even exist in your code. There's no definition of pergola. There's no word. It is a gazebo. It fits your definition of gazebo, which is an open walled roof structure. And so this is exactly what this is. It's got 4 posts with the roof. It's over furniture in the backyard by the pool. It's a gazebo, right? And so what staff had told the applicant was that we can't find gazebo in your code. There's no exception for pergolas. There's no exception for pergolas in the yard, right? In the yard. So that means it has to meet the same requirement as the house. So you can't have it. You can't have a pergola that sticks off the house because pergola is not mentioned as something that's allowed to encroach into the yard. So staff was given this comment, and unfortunately at that time, the contractor, and he's here today, and I don't mean to make this about him, but he was going through some rather serious health issues, and the emails that went to him were missed. And the installation of this structure was prearranged with a installer from the West Coast who literally showed up in one day and put it up. And our contractor wasn't fully comprehend the comment from staff, much less be able to discuss the comment with staff. So once I started reading it, after obviously the structure's up and violations been noticed, I read the code and I'm like, hang on, I mean, you're basically saying you can't have this structure in a yard, and I'm sure that there are gazebos all over the place. And so when I read the code, so we gave an interpretation of the code to staff, and they disagree with the interpretation. That's what we've appealed. So I would like time to be able to go to the Board of Adjustment, to have the Board of Adjustment say whether or not you can have these structures in Highland Beach. If we can't, then we'll take it down, obviously. Nobody wants to do something untoward or incur fees. Right now, I'm just trying to get to an answer. doing my best. I've been discussing with staff from the very beginning of the year. So we have been diligently working. Like I said, we submitted an answer. It was, been rejected. We're now appealing it. So we are pursuing this. We are trying to fix this.
Couldn't have just done a tiki hut instead of a
Well, but Tiki
pergola?
Hut's not in the code.
pergola?
Tiki Hut's
Tiki
not in the
Hut's not in
code.
the code
There's no,
either?
the word Tiki Hut's not in the code. So they would have made the same conclusion. They would have said. And the thing is that gazebo is actually defined in the code, but then it's not discussed anywhere else, except for in connection with dune walkovers, which obviously you don't have to have a dune to have a gazebo.
Well, no matter what it is, you need a permit for
You
it.
need a permit for it. But the question is, they won't issue a permit if you don't meet the setback. So
Right.
what's the setback? And you can't decide the setback until you decide, well, what is it? Right? And so we're trying to flesh all that out. And, it's a matter of interpretation, which often means that it's not black and white, but it is something that Florida law is quite clear on, that if there is ambiguity in land development regulations, because they are a derogation of private property rights, then they are.
What is this thing used for?
It's just shelter. It protects the outdoor kitchen. It's like an outdoor grill with a table. So you can stand out there and grill your pork chops without getting wet.
We have one.
Everybody has
Oh,
one.
a tiki hut.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a gazebo. Even your tiki hut would meet the definition of gazebo in the code. There's no tiki hut in the code.
Can you provide you said there's probably other ones.
I
Can
mean,
you
I
provide what other
could. I
ones
mean,
are?
normally I don't point to other people and say, oh, they did it. I should be able to do it. I used to point to the rules and say, I meet the rules, right? But I'm more than happy to survey the surrounding area and find similar structures that currently exist in yards.
Well, if it doesn't meet the setback, it's never gonna be approved. Because it's a-
Right, well, but what's the setback? So there are different setbacks for different types of what's generally considered an accessory structure.
Ms.
Yeah.
Perla.
Yeah, I'm only confused is, I know it's a private piece of property.
Yeah.
But this, whatever, is sitting on basically the inner coast.
Yeah, the property line that they're saying there needs to be some kind of setback. We don't know what it is right now. They're saying 20 feet is the intercoastal. So it doesn't abut private property. It faces the open water. It seems like a place where a setback wouldn't be necessary.
Well, I think you're gonna have problems with that because that's not really considered your property. So I think.
Yeah, no,
you'll
no, I'm
have
not trying to put it off the property.
It probably is their property, but it's just an issue of whether,
Yeah.
There's this-
what
how-
the setbacks
What the
are.
setback is, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, what the setback is, right.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that what the answer is. I'm saying we're trying to find that answer. And so, yes, sir.
Sir, just clarify for me, are you the attorney representing the homeowner?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Second question, if I went to Home Depot and I bought one of those portable gazebos
Right,
and brought it home that you see laying on the floor of Home Depot all the time,
yeah.
and I put it in my backyard, does that require a permit?
Well, so I haven't memorized the Highland Code, I know it pretty well now, but most jurisdictions, if you have something that's affixed to the ground, that's considered a structure, which typically requires a building permit. Now, if you just have this structure that you just sit on grade, I mean, it's movable, it's temporary. There's usually different jurisdictions have regulations for movable and temporary structures. And so, but there's concern with that. There's uplift and things you have to worry about. And that's why, I would think that the code would address that type of thing in some way, whether it's a permanent structure or a temporary structure.
And the third question is, if in fact, you're found in violation, your comment was, if I understood it correctly, that you're gonna take it down.
Well, we have to.
Why won't you just apply for the permit and come into compliance?
So, well, no, we have applied for the permit, but
I'm
Let's see.
saying, so why don't you just bring the permit request into compliance and leave the
we
structure?
can't, because the comment on the permit application was that the structure needs to be set back 20 feet from the rear property line. I don't have 20 feet. The home is 20 feet.
Got it.
So basically they're saying you can't put it in the yard. You can't put this in the backyard.
Understood. Now I understand.
So I can't get a permit for it.
Got it.
In the back, getting the bearing.
Well, so if there is indeed a setback requirement that applies and this one doesn't meet it, then yes, a form of relief from that would be a variance. Now, the question though, it begs the question, what is the setback requirement? And does it currently meet it or not?
I was just gonna let the board know that the building official, Mr. Remus, is here, so if you have building code questions, I'm sure he'd be happy to answer.
Yeah, I think Mr. Remus wants to say something, address this issue. If you're done,
I mean, if I could have, I don't have anything affirmative to say, but honestly, I'm happy to answer questions, but, depending, but I don't know, he may say something I want to.
Okay. Mr. Remus.
Good afternoon, Jeffrey Miss Building Official, Town of Highland Beach. I usually only come up here to speak to clarify and put things into context. Number one, the pergola was installed without a permit before they even applied for a permit. All right, so applying for the permit was an after the fact. Let's just get that. Number two, when they applied for the permit, they applied to install a pergola. They did not apply for anything else. So again, the work was done without even applying, so they put themselves in this situation. After the fact, after they applied for a building permit because of the code case, it was determined that the pergola did not meet the setback requirements. So we're kind of muddying the waters. The purpose of the code case is work without a permit. Where the waters are getting muddied is that they're asking for additional time on this. And Adam, can I have the original date on the case?
November 27th.
So we're going back to the end of 2023. We're midway through March. And this has been reviewed by myself, Ingrid Allen, a town planner, Marshall Labadie, town manager. And what they're trying to do, which is muddying the waters, is beyond a stretch. All right. So I don't really want to discuss anything from planning and zoning. The reality of it is, in all actuality, they should be actually just immediately remove it. Period. And then get this settled, and then they can reinstall it. If it's that simple and they want to call it whatever they want to call it, that's fine. But at this point, if they really want to get rid of the violation, they should just remove it. And that would take care of the problem until the legalities of this through the planning and zoning department, through Ingrid, and whether it's an interpretation or however this has to work, we'll do that. But in the meantime, probably the easiest thing to do would be just to remove it, removes the violation. And that would probably be the easiest decision that you could make. And then they'll have plenty of time to figure out the legalities. But again, we're here for working without a permit, for choosing to do a job without pulling a permit, and then finding out that they couldn't do it.
And I agree. I mean, this is pretty simple when you look at
Right.
it. It's
It's-
either it happened or it didn't. Was there a permit?
Right. And
They
there
did not apply for permit and they started working before applying for the permit.
That
I
is
mean,
correct.
That's all we need to know,
That is
I
correct.
think. And if they
Okay.
didn't, then
I-
they didn't. The whole thing with the variances and the gazebo or a tiki hut or whatever you want, that's not for us. Really, I mean, they could take that up
Right.
with the adjustment board, but it's got nothing to do with the fact of whether
Right.
they started work without even applying for a permit.
The legalities of it is that there was not a permit issued and they decided to go ahead and install it anyway without any permits or approval. They put themselves in this situation. So the best thing to do would be just to remove the structure, figure out the rest of it for however they want to stretch definitions. All right. And if they get that through planning and zoning, that's fine. I don't really care. I'll be happy to issue a permit as long as it's going to meet the wind zone, because it's a structure that cannot become a threat to neighbors in high winds. All right. So there are a lot of requirements for this because of the wind zone we're in. All right. And that's it. And so I just wanted to put some context to that. And I think we can put this to bed a little bit quicker if they would just remove it. It's just got 4 legs, remove it, and then put it back in.
What about a teepee? Someone put up a teepee in their backyard. Would that be
It all depends on how it's attached to the ground and if it's a temporary structure or not. That's all.
Depends on the tribe.
And there are some other issues we have. Yeah, that's a whole other ballgame. Yeah, but again, we are not here for a planning and zoning issue. We're here for a building code issue.
Right, we can't muddy the waters
Right,
here.
Right.
That's
This is
what-
this is a building code issue, not a planning and zone. He can argue the planning later. But the quickest thing would probably just be to be directed to remove it until this gets figured out, and then they can either install it or not.
I have a question maybe for Mr. Osowski. What is the town asking for?
Finding.
We are looking for the finding of fact or finding that there's a violation. And for the board to set a date to, for them to achieve compliance.
Number 3.
And in order for them to achieve compliance, one way to achieve compliance would be to get approval through the planning board and then apply for a permit and then get through that process. Or they can just simply remove it and then be in compliance.
Have 2 choices.
Right.
Yeah, but for us today, we just need to decide whether a violation was committed.
Right.
Which it either was or it wasn't. It was either done without a permit or it wasn't, okay, and that looks like the number 3 to me. Can't make
I
it.
I believe the respondent is still,
Oh, the respondent still has to respond to this.
I believe they had
You want
more.
to rebut?
Yeah,
Rebuttal?
I mean, look, I've done my utmost best to be as open and transparent with you all as possible. I do have with me the contractor. I would like to present him to provide you factual testimony. Because I agree, we do not want muddied water here. And what you're going to hear from what happened is that there was a permit application that was submitted. It was checked off by everyone. And to say this isn't a zoning issue, that was the only sign off that was missing was from planning and zoning. And that's why the permit wasn't issued. So it was 1000% the issue was with the application
You're
was
saying
submitted.
a permit was applied?
Yes, and it was under review, signed off by all disciplines, all departments, but planning and zoning. So that's why this is a planning and zoning issue.
Okay.
And-
well,
and they
that's
were
a-
making a
that's
comment.
Factual matter then that we are you're disputing. Mr.
Well, no, I'm not-
Remus
we're
is
not-
saying that there was never
I'm
an
If
application
I
before
may,
he
if I
started
may,
working.
please, if I may, I'm so sorry. Let me present the factual evidence because he's going to present fact evidence. I was not there. I'm not a fact witness in this part. So I wish you should listen to him and not me.
Okay,
That's okay.
all right.
Good afternoon. My name is Frank Pashota. I am the Garchek's property manager. I'm not their general contractor, to be clear. Okay, we hired a general contractor and he fell asleep on this thing. So we applied for a building permit in the beginning of August. And I had dialogue with Jeff going back and forth with the requirements and the criteria they needed was way beyond what we were looking for. It had roof, all kinds of stuff. I sat with Jeff. He got rid of a lot of stuff that we didn't need on there. Everything was approved except for the setback issue. I sat with Ingrid and Jeff at one point, and she was after the side setback. She was looking for 20 feet on a side setback, and we have more than 50 feet on our side setback. And then this turned into the rear setback, where we are 1 foot over the rear setback, which I didn't know. We get hired surveyor, they did the surveyor, and this is where we stand today. But we did apply for the permit. We
What
paid
date?
in the beginning
Where's
of,
the application?
in the beginning of August.
Do you have the
Yeah, but-
application?
I don't think
I-
the application, I think it's.
I want to see the
approval.
date of the
Well,
application.
Yeah, but they care about the approval and they're correct. It wasn't approved.
Mr. Remus is saying they never even applied before they started
Yeah,
working.
we did apply. The permit
Did
number
he?
was
Yeah.
the permit number was AP 232029. And I have a picture of it here on my phone that I sent to the attorney yesterday. And we paid over $1,100 in initial fees, and they sent us a bill for the final fee with still the stipulation of the survey setback was another $2,500. And we were ready to pay that, but then this whole thing blew up. I had major health issues through this whole thing. I had cancer. I really dropped the ball on my end with the emails and back and forth with Jeff, and it was a disaster for the Garcheks. Now, the people delivered it in November and installed it while I was out. Right now, I have double vision. I have 6-nerve palsy on top of my cancer. So it's been very difficult for me to read and do all this stuff. But we didn't do what Jeff said there. We applied for the permit first, and then it got installed in November. They came and delivered it and installed it in one day.
So you did the work before the permit
Before
was,
we actually had the permit. I thought we were gonna get it.
Okay. So again, as I said at the beginning, we recognize that the structure was erected and we recognize that the permit was not ultimately issued.
Then that's it.
Frank, yeah, well, and what I'm asking for is, I'm asking for time
No,
to fix it.
You're gonna
And,
get 2
and I mean,
weeks.
and obviously we could tear it down, but under our view of the code, we would just be building it back in the same place.
But you're
so
gonna get
why-
2 weeks. That's what.
Well, I
we're
need
gonna
to get to a Board of Adjustment hearing and I don't know
But
what their
that's-
calendar
But
is.
we're not here for that. We're here.
I know, I know, I'm not asking you to not, I'm not asking you,
Just finish, you don't have an approved permit.
I know, we're
Okay,
asking.
So we all know that.
So what we're asking for is like, so we've had since the notice, right, an opportunity to
we
cure
are-
and we're working through that cure. So I'm just asking for more time to cure it.
You're gonna get 2 weeks.
Well, is that, can I get to the Board of Adjustment in 2 weeks?
No.
I,
I don't know when the next Board of Adjustment meeting is.
I mean, if the Board of Adjustment was tomorrow, that'd be fine. I mean,
I'm gonna just say what Mr. Remus said. You're better off taking it down and then finishing everything.
100%.
and then, okay, so if we take it down,
You're gonna have to
then we
do something with that. rear-
resubmit the application and build it again, but we still have to make the same, okay, that's fine. We'll have to make the same presentation, I suppose, and go through the same issue with staff. And in the meantime, we've just demolished the structure for no, what could be no reason.
Demolish it. That's, you can take
Pull
that
it out the
down. That's a
Yeah.
removable structure that'll go back up.
Well, when I say demolish, I don't mean with a sledgehammer or anything. I mean, you have to take it down.
Right.
Sorry, I didn't mean to be pejorative there, but my only point is I'm literally not trying to persuade you guys to not believe the
Sounds
fact.
like you
I'm,
are.
no, I'm asking for I'm asking for some relief. That's all I'm asking for.
How are we gonna provide
You
relief?
could give me, you can,
We
you,
don't give anything. We could,
well, I mean,
He's
listen,
asking, he's
you're
just
here
asking
for
for
a
additional
reason.
time.
Why are you here?
He's asking for additional time.
That's what we don't-
yeah,
Yeah, have you applied to the Board of Exceptions and Appeals?
we have.
And they have not given you a date?
Not yet.
Yeah.
The application, when we just got the staff rejection of our interpretation last Friday, the day that the application, the appeal was filed. So
Listen, honestly, we have no idea how long it'll take for that.
hopefully it's the next hearing. I mean,
Well,
I
they-
mean, it could be 90 days, it could be, you know.
They
it's-
don't have a regular hearing date, so they're scheduled when cases arise.
Right.
Very
Oh, so
specific.
could
yeah,
they
I
need
mean,
a
we just,
bunch of
I just,
days?
were yeah, I mean, because
No.
by taking what this interpretation we've got from staff is that this structure, which whether you, whatever you call it, I mean, it firmly meets the definition of gazebo in the code. The fact that someone called it a pergola, I mean, your attorney would tell you, I can write a motion and call it anything. The motion is what I asked for.
Well, you
The
applied
titles,
for a.
but my
applied
point
for
is that
permit.
they're saying you can't
Permit.
have this thing. They're saying you can't have it
It's a
because,
structure.
Right, because of where it's located.
well, because it needs a 20-foot setback, which is
That's
the same
correct.
setback as the house,
That
which
is-
means it can't go in the yard.
That's correct.
Right, and so we think that's absurd, to be honest.
Yeah, well, then they have to
But I
grant
mean,
you a
but
variance.
it may not be. It may be that gazebos are banned in Highland Beach in the yards. And they may be, and I'm just trying to get an answer on that. Because obviously, if you can't have it, you can't have it. I don't know why they accepted the permit to begin with if you can't have it.
Well, they didn't.
The application and process.
They're required to accept
What,
permits.
they
And then
could have just
either
said
give-
straight out.
Give a permit or not give a
They
permit.
had to see.
You don't have a permit right now.
I know, but, okay. I know we don't because we have I mean, look, I'm not trying to justify what happened.
It sounds
Yeah,
like you.
No, I'm just trying to justify that it is in all fairness and justice to give me time to resolve what is an issue that should have been addressed 6 months
But
ago.
it could take 3, it could take 6 months and hurricane season starts.
But
and
there's, I
this
don't think
thing
there's
could
any
go
life
flying.
safety issue here. I don't think there's any
Okay, well,
life safety
let's-
issue. We're more than happy to have it inspected.
We should ask.
Let's
what-
limit to questions and
Yeah,
this back
okay,
and forth
so-
is not productive.
Yeah, we're gonna, at this time, we're gonna conclude our
Evaluation.
eventual part of. the
Well, do you
hearing,
have
and
more evidence to present? I'm sorry, what was your, I missed your name when you introduced
Michael
yourself.
Marshall,
Marshall?
yes.
Okay, Mr. Marshall, do you have anything else you want to present?
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so once again, there's one thing before us today that we have anything to do with at the Code Enforcement Board, and that's whether
There-
or not any type of work was done without an issued permit. That's not a permit application. That's actually a permit that was issued. And it's undisputed by both sides that work was done without an issued permit. So
It's
I'm saying
easy.
that we find that there was a violation, but there has to be a motion to that effect.
I can
and-
make the motion for a number 3, which is a single
Wait a
violation.
minute, before you do that.
And then there would have to be a time for compliance.
That's the issue,
Yes.
is the time. Like, what's a
Time.
reasonable time to get things to
Reasonable
comply?
time.
He said 2 weeks. That's what we give
That's our
everybody.
Standard, that
Standard.
standard is 2 weeks.
It's-
Can we discuss this?
Yeah, yes, I,
Yes.
We can
please discuss it, and the board has discretion as to time. I mean, it could be
Yeah.
2 weeks, it could be 2 months,
Time for
whatever the
what, Mr.
board,
Rule?
the compliance, for compliance.
I would give 30 or 60 days.
I would give 30
I
or
go
60
with
days.
60, but I would also want to lessen the daily, because if he's got to get in front of that board, and if you don't do it in 60 days, then he's got to take it down.
Then he's got it, well,
But I would lessen the daily fine, so that I do the 60, but if he doesn't
Daily
get,
fine would start after the date of
oh,
compliance.
then that's fine, okay.
Yeah, not now. The only thing he'd be
It's the 250.
250
Okay, all right.
for.
For the legal.
costs.
What do you think?
So-
Mr. Chairman, may I?
Yes,
You know, like all of these cases that we hear, there's always extenuating circumstances. And there are human issues. This isn't just a black and white issue. And I think as a board, sometimes we fail to look at the human issues and the human element. And I think that everybody sitting behind this table could be faced with a similar situation, given the extenuating circumstances. And so therefore, I suggest that we give them what time they need, given those extenuating circumstances. And this is a homeowner who tried to do things in good faith, in my opinion, but they were, ma'am, I'm speaking. Can I please finish?
How do you know the homeowner? These are not. the
I'm not here to
homeowners.
argue
Jane,
with, I'm not here to
let him
argue with
say
you.
what he wants to
Everyone
say,
gets to
please.
say
I'm
what
not
they
here to
wish to
argue with
say.
you. I'm here to give my opinion. Okay, and I'd appreciate it if you would just let me finish. So I think that everybody sitting here in this room can be faced with the human element and extenuating circumstances. And when that time expires, whether it's 30, 60, 90 days, if we find that they did something intentionally or wrong, then I think we have plenty of time to find them in violation. In the meantime, in my humble opinion, given the circumstances, I think that we should give them some latitude.
What do you suggest timing?
I'm not sure I know the answer to that, but I just want to be fair. And if that's 30, 60, 90, 120 days, whatever it is, to bring this into conclusion and compliance, that would be fine with me. I'm happy saying, how much time, sir, Mr. Marshall, do you think you need to get this in compliance?
well, so as I was saying, the appeal of the staff interpretation of the code goes to a Board of Adjustment and like you said, they're not regularly scheduled. So, I mean, we could be prepared, I mean, as soon as possible. I mean, the issues, I mean, they're sort of formulated, we know. The alternative, if our interpretation of the code is that it's regulated as other customary yard accessories, which means it's subject to like triangle site visibility, stuff like if you put it up by the road and it can't be super tall. So it has height and visibility requirements, but no specific setback requirement. Now, if that interpretation fails, then the only option is what was mentioned earlier, which is a variance, which we can submit for both of them simultaneously. I'm not sure if a variance process would take longer than the interpretation process, or if it's heard by the same
It's the
board.
same board.
So you could just present them alternatively. So, I mean, this could happen as soon as. it gets
Okay,
scheduled.
basically, it could take, we have no idea how long, but
It's whenever they schedule the Board of Adjustment meeting.
thank you.
Would the
Thank you.
board
Thank you.
be, would they set a meeting for just one item? And that's usually within.
Yes.
30 or
They,
60
that's
I
what
mean,
they
they
do.
do-
They
they-
meet,
yeah,
they
right.
meet only by appointment only.
They just met relatively recently, the last month. Because they had a variance, but I don't know, you have to have a quorum and get the meeting together, and now we're getting into.
Yeah, and I just want to respond to, what my colleague, Dr. Kaufman, was saying about the human element and, we got to let people do what they have to do and give them time. And I have a little bit of an issue with that because, it's about precedent too, and everybody has a special circumstance. Okay. Everybody that comes in here has some special reason why they started work without a permit. Okay. And if we sit here and try to, ferret out the human element and, give people as much time as they need, what's fair, I think we're going down a rabbit hole. If we go with that line of thinking, you know, that's not what code enforcement is here for. I mean, we're here to pretty much be black and white. I mean, there's rules for a reason. And, you know, if we can help someone by giving a little more time, then that's different than saying, you know, as much time as they need. I think we should, listen, that's just us setting a bad precedent for
How
this
much
board.
would you suggest?
Would I? I mean, I think the 2-week normal standard time is might, in this case, be altered or maybe extended to 30 or 60 days, but you know, it's certainly not to the realm where.
Maybe someone should make
Okay,
a motion and you could always discuss the motion, but
Yeah, we would need a motion. So, and I can't make one, so someone else.
I'll make. Okay, I move that a respondent be found in violation of the town code as alleged in the notice of violation. And that they be ordered to comply within 60 days or be fined $250 per day for each day the violation remains after the date set for compliance. And assess prosecution costs in the amount of $250 payable by the date set for compliance.
I second.
Okay, so we can have a roll call.
any discussion on the motion? No?
Any discussion on the motion?
Okay, roll call.
Member Perlman,
Yes.
Member LaSorsa,
Yes.
Member Murray,
Yes.
Member Kaufman,
Yes.
Vice Chairperson Perlo,
Yes,
Chairperson Schlam.
Yes,
Thank you. Motion carries.
you got your 60 days. Congratulations. All right. Case number CC 2024-01-032. Julia Wanklin and Patrick Colleton. That's on Russell Drive. And the violation was an AC change out. Oh, wait, AC change out has expired. Okay, any board members, ex parte communications? At this time, I turn over the hearing to.
I'm sorry, I don't want to cut you off, but the town is pulling this one. Yeah.
good.
All right,
Because those get corrected quickly.
yep, and that's it then. Now we have announcements. March 14th. Oh, this one, okay, March 14th, which is, isn't that Pi Day? Yes, that's National Pi Day, 3.14, 9:30 a.m., the planning board meeting. Then we have, April 9th, 2024 is our 1 p.m. code enforcement.
Yeah, this was the boo-boo.
meeting.
It said April 11th here, not the boo-boo.
Let me just check that for a second here. April 9th. Oh, wow, that's the
Yeah.
day I'm getting back. Flying straight from Vegas on a red eye. So,
Well, if
I might
not, I'll
look a
take
little
over the
tired.
meeting.
well, yeah, you may have to.
No problem. You never
Yeah.
know with the planes.
Okay, the meeting is now adjourned